Life comes with a lot of decisions, and it can be hard to know the right path sometimes. A therapist can help you map out what you really want, so you trust yourself to make great choices and feel excited about the future. BetterHelp offers convenient professional online therapy on your schedule, however you want it, by phone, chat, or video call. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/positive today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/positive.
I'm joined by Hall of Famer John Smoltz. Smoltzy, tell me this. What's harder, winning a Cy Young or an Emmy Award?
Oh, man. Winning a Cy Young. It takes a lot longer to happen. You know, it's funny when you mention something like that. I just go back to all those years of being predicted to win and just feeling like a failure. But in 96, fortunately, I was able to at least get that off my back because that was starting to bother me.
Download the Brett Boone Podcast, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
It's time to get back to the sports talk.
All right, let's do this thing. Go!
Sports Daily is on KFH.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 coming to Boulevard Theaters in Wichita. You can check it out a day early. We're giving away a pair of tickets for a special screening this Thursday, July 13th, 7 o'clock, Boulevard Theaters at Town West. We'll give away that pair right now to our first caller on the IHOP hotline. 869-1240 is that number. So good luck to our competitors in that contest. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning this Thursday. Welcome back into Sports Daily. Jacob Albrock, Tommy Castor. So the Bob Huggins story, Tommy, I keep making the joke that I guess his, letter writer is the same one that San Diego State used. Like, you write this letter of resignation, and then you immediately be like, oh, I didn't, that's not what I meant. I didn't mean I was didn't mean I was resigning. This is a mess. I don't get it. From Bob Huggins' standpoint, by all accounts, Bob Huggins had a team meeting telling his players he was resigning. Like, what are you doing here, Huggins?
I'm not sure he understands what the word resign means. I truly wonder if he actually knows what that word means. Because there was an email that was, I guess, sent to the University of West Virginia from his wife's account saying, accept this formal notice of resignation. He told his team he was resigning. I wonder if he just doesn't know what that word actually means, because now his attorneys are saying that he never formally resigned. Well, yeah, you kind of did. So, I mean, I have a feeling that this may play out in court, but I'm not sure that Huggins has any legs to stand on here.
He doesn't, especially if he had a team meeting talking about his, resignation. What I think is happening here is it's desperate. Huggins doesn't want to be done coaching. It's very sad because Huggins doesn't want to be done coaching. I think he's clearly still good at it. He had an unbelievable transfer class coming in, but it's like the incident on the radio with the slurs that make absolutely no sense to go that direction, like out of nowhere, like what? And then the DUI. It's just desperate. Like, you resign, I think reality sets in that, like, man, that's it. And you call a lawyer and be like, how can we make this, like, how do we turn this back around? Like, I don't want to be done coaching. And this is the path you take. You say, I didn't write that letter, my wife wrote that letter. So it's not an official resignation. Oh, okay. We disagree. And you met with your team, by the way, to tell them that you were resigning. So legally standing, any one of those people in that locker room can get up on the stand and be like, yeah, he totally had a meeting and told us he was resigning. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I think, what's really sad about all of this is that, West Virginia is Bob Huggins' alma mater. And, I remember him leaving Kansas State after one season because he wanted to go back home. He wanted to be with his alma mater. And it was a match made in heaven, and I think everybody, it's something special when a coach goes back home, goes back to their alma mater to be able to coach and finish out their career at a place like that. And what was a match made in heaven is going to get ugly. It already has gotten ugly, unfortunately. And you know what? I usually don't take the side of universities on things. I feel bad for West Virginia in all of this, because they had to go through and figure out what they wanted to do after the slurs on the radio. And they defended him. They basically, they punished him, but they defended him. And at the time, I think people thought, well, that's kind of a weak punishment. But, Bob Huggins is beloved in Morgantown. And then the DUI. And then at that point, it's like, what are you going to do? What can you do? You have to get rid of the guy. You gave him the benefit of the doubt once. You can't do it again just a few weeks later. And now all of this, and so West Virginia, they released a statement saying that they would not under any circumstances reinstate Bob Huggins and that they would defend themselves from any kind of allegations coming against them. I actually feel bad for the university here because this is a mess that they're in. And honestly, it's really not their doing. It's Bob Huggins' doing.
West Virginia doesn't have any fault in this. I don't. I agree with you. It's going to make it near impossible to have any sort of relationship after the fact, right?
That's the sad thing.
You're taking away the university's ability to say, you know what, we'll welcome you back to these games with open arms. We want you in the stands. Nobody would have had a problem with that.
Yeah,
but you can't do that now.
Think about Jim Boeheim at Syracuse and, Krzyzewski at Duke and Roy Williams at North Carolina. And Krzyzewski's different because he's not, that's not his alma mater at Duke, but he was there for 40 some years. Roy Williams is a North Carolina guy. And the fact that he's been retired and you spot him in the stands and he's like an ambassador, like a legacy member, of that organization. We're not going to see that with Bob Huggins in West Virginia, more than likely.
Not that that was ever his personality.
Not at all. But you think of nationally, right? Just beloved head coaches. Bob Huggins isn't really on that list. However, up until now, he's been beloved in Morgantown, and that's all that mattered. And I think they're on the outs, and it's going to be really hard to come back from that.
When I first saw this, my ears perked up, and I was like, well, this is really curious here, because if they can make a case that wasn't indeed him that sent that letter or whatever, and look, the university has as much firepower legally as Bob Huggins can hire. Yeah. And by the way, it sounds like this is a different attorney than the attorney he's always used his whole life, so who knows what is going on behind the scenes. But the second I saw that there was a called team meeting where Huggins informed his players and the team that he was resigning, that's where I was like, well, I don't even understand legally what he thinks he's going to be able to pull off, because the defense on that is easy. You told your players you were resigning, so clearly you did have that intention. Case closed, right? It's not... Right. It's not now. It's like my ears aren't even perked up. Now it's just like, oh man.
And I don't know if he got bad advice or, before this formal resignation, because one of the things that he is claiming through his attorney is that he entered rehab, which is good. I'm glad he did, because he clearly needed it, right? So he's currently, I guess, in rehab right now, and his attorney said that he has fully intended on resuming his post as head coach when he completes the rehab program. So I don't know if he was given bad advice or if he misunderstood the terms of what was going on. I don't know if maybe at some point there was a conversation of, if you enter rehab and you complete the program, then you can come back. I have no idea the inner workings of all of this, but that part of it does make me sad, right? That he's clearly dealing with some interpersonal issues. He has for a long time. It's not the first time he's had a DUI. This is his second one, and clearly felt like he needed to get some help for it, entered rehab. And I don't know if he thought, hey, if I go to rehab, maybe there's a chance I can come back. That's obviously not the case.
Yeah, well, that wasn't going to happen anyway. West Virginia was in the free and clear when he resigned. It was right. Okay, now we don't have to make that brutal decision. That's an absolute lose-lose for this university. And so now that they're clear of it, and maybe, too, it's just some of Huggins in his camp saying, let's see if we can't take advantage of the fact that the public would be on your side here. But I'm not sure the public's going to be on the side now, as this is just spiraled into this sort of weird thing, right? It's
How do you feel about, because I'm really conflicted on this. How do you feel about Bob Huggins' legacy after this? The entire the terrible couple months, and then him demanding to be reinstated. Like, do you think that this has damaged his overall legacy?
Not really. It will probably in the minds of like historians, journalists to some degree, because we'll hang on to that and remember that stuff a little better. But to the general public or to West Virginia, I would say very little. I don't think 5-10 years from now, if somebody's challenging, some of his win records or anything like that, it'll even be brought up. They're not going to say, yeah, Bob Huggins, who had all those wins and was so great for the university. But remember now, he had a really rocky ending. Like, not much of it. I don't think it will be much of a factor.
I think you were on vacation when all of this went down originally. And so I remember Paul and I, discussed it. And one thing Paul brought up that, I don't know. I'm conflicted on this, and I think I would lean towards, no. But the thought of, could there potentially be ramifications with his Hall of Fame induction? I mean, the fact he is a Naismith Basketball Hall of Famer, and should there be some kind of morality clause where, you're potentially removed from the Hall of Fame ranks if you do something to damage the credibility of the Hall of Fame? So, that's been a discussion. I don't think it's going to happen, but I know that that's at least been speculated a little bit.
Has he damaged the credibility of the Hall of Fame?
I think you could make an argument if you're a Hall of Fame member that you might be better off not having him in the Hall of Fame anymore.
Is Bobby Knight a Naismith Hall of Famer?
Yes.
He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Huggins will be fine.
Yeah.
Bobby Knight, like, physically hurt people and was violent, right? Like, Huggins will be fine. He'll be just fine. Now, I'm not downplaying what he did. More egregious in the second case of being that hammered, allegedly, and driving.
Now, I think that if tragically something had happened, might be a little bit different.
Yep, I agree. Which is why that is. I'm not trying to downplay that, but it didn't, and I think that there are plenty of checkered pasts in a Hall of Fame that would at least rival Huggins's now recent checkered past. I think he'll be fine. I really I don't think that this is going to become a part of the Bob Huggins conversation very much at all as we get probably just even a year or two clear of whatever the mess that's currently being stirred up is resolved, which I think is just going to be a total non, they can.
I just wish that
lose.
I want to see him get healthy, obviously. I wish that he had kind of ridden off into the sunset quietly. Understood that he needed some help and needed some professional intervention. And it looks like he's getting it, which is good. I would have rather seen him ride off quietly, get the help he needs, get healthy. And then I think could be welcome back with open arms. I see him. I think he could be a great broadcaster if he wanted to do that for a couple of seasons. There are some other paths out there that I think would be awesome for him. I hate to see it go down like this.
Yeah, and it's, he's 69. He could have coached for a while still, I think. Yeah. I mean, he clearly hadn't lost anything. His teams were good. He just put together the second best transfer class in the country behind Kansas, according to most accounts. It's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate because he still had plenty left in the tank from a basketball perspective, but from a personal perspective, obviously, some things have got to change. From the comments on the air. It's just like that. When that happened, you're like,
it was jarring.
Does that happen?
Yep.
How do you even get there is one thing, but how you say it live on the air, you're just like, what? That doesn't even make sense. And then, the DUI doesn't not make sense because there's a little bit of a history there. But, man, it's too bad. We'll see where this goes. We'll continue to follow it. Basically, he's saying he didn't really resign, even though he did resign, according to West Virginia. And he's trying to get his job back, which, again, if he really had a team meeting, he ain't going to get his job back. I don't think he is anyway. But that almost puts the nail in the coffin of that. Congratulations to Mark for winning some tickets to the latest Mission Impossible movie. By the way, Odyssey and KYN bring you Concerts in the Park, which are sponsored by IHOP. Free live music Friday from 8 to 10 in Andover Central Park at the Capitol Federal Amphitheater. This Friday, Lucky people. Bring your lawn chairs, blankets, extra cash for the food trucks. No coolers allowed. Gates open at 6:30. I'm happy to do that as a part of that fun concerts outside. Enjoy the weather. You got good weather if it hadn't been raining. It hadn't been hot. We'll come back. More Sports Daily right after this.